I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. During Wednesday's House Oversight Committee hearing about gun manufacturers, Representative Stephen Lynch spoke about the rise in buy now, pay later financing for online purchases. He raised concern about the use of buy now, pay later as a way to finance online firearm and weapon purchases, sometimes dubbed by companies shoot now, pay later. Lynch asked witnesses how this system could further enable the gun violence epidemic.
Mr. Lynch is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and really appreciate you holding this hearing. I thank the ranking member as well and our witnesses. On one of my other committees, I actually serve as the chairman of the Task Force on Financial Technology, FinTech. And our task force is continuing to investigate the emerging use of so-called buy now, pay later financing for online purchases. So I want to direct this question to Mr. Bussey and Ms. Sampson. A buy now, pay later allows consumers to purchase and immediately take possession of an item after agreeing to pay the purchase price over a fixed period of time. The use of buy now, pay later has really dramatically increased in the last few years, especially with the pandemic. Not surprisingly, buy now, pay later is also extremely popular with younger consumers because it entails a very, very light credit pull or credit check, and really targets those with minimal disposable income and little or no credit history. And by far, millennials and Gen Z consumers make up the majority of buy now, pay later users by age group. Regrettably, however, relevant to this hearing, buy now, pay later has really become popular as a way to finance online gun and ammunition purchases. While some of the major buy now, pay later providers like Affirm and Klarna and Afterpay explicitly prohibit purchasing guns and ammunition, some do not. And as recently reported by the New York Times, Credova Financial LLC and some other niche firms are actively exploiting the gap in gun sales market by teaming up with gun merchants to offer buy now, pay later financing to facilitate online purchases. In fact, Credova boasts a multitude of retail partners on its website, including several gun merchants. For example, the company is the financing arm for grabagun.com, which is an online gun seller offering handguns, shotguns, and what they say on their website, a huge number of AR-15s. Grabagun.com prominently highlights the convenience and benefits associated with Credova buy now, pay later, including no hard credit inquiries for pre-approval and zero money down. The website also dangerously markets Credova's services as advertised on Grabagun.com. A consumer can select Credova financing in order to what they call shoot now, pay later. So that's running contrary to all the checks that we're asking to be implemented to prevent the wrong people from actually getting access to firearms. So Mr. Bussey and Ms. Sampson, can you offer us your thoughts on how this new mechanism of buy now, pay later in the gun industry could affect and exacerbate the gun violence epidemic?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. I believe that this sort of system points out the sort of danger that we're now facing and what I think is a holdover in our firearms laws. We need to do things to make it more difficult for impulsive teenagers to get AR-15s and up to 60 30-round magazines that the Uvalde shooter had. We don't need to make things, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids, especially young men, are impulsive, and buy now, pay later, or shoot now, pay later sort of financing options like this highlight this massive hole we have in our regulation that is a holdover from the time when 18-year-old kids were thought it was okay because they needed to go buy a hunting rifle to go hunting with their dad on some nice October day. That's why this 18-year-old law exists and why handguns are 21. Our country has changed now where many of our long guns, in fact, in some places, the majority of our long guns purchased are AR-15s. And we need, in my opinion, as responsible gun owners, as lawmakers, as responsible citizens, we need to reduce the prevalence of increasing that sort of easy access.
Thank you. Ms. Sampson?
I would also just add that the reason why this is so compelling, especially for younger consumers, is because AR-15s and the like are rather expensive weapons. And so for individuals who may be younger, this may be another way to allow them to get their hands on them. And it all goes around to the deliberate marketing to some of the most vulnerable and impulsive members of our society. And
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman